the street, I could hear its heartbeat. The sisters fell back and said, "Don't that man look pretty?" The cripple on the corner cried out, "Hey, nickels for your biddy." Them Gatlin boys downtown, they sure talk gritty. It's so hard to be a saint in the city.
We're on. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is Pass and Move, the this podcast thing we do, which is it still a podcast now?
Videocast.
Vodcast now. Vidcast. Oh, whatever you want to call it. It's this thing
Didn't he used to play for Leeds?
Oh,
Mark Vidcast.
Got very heavy, didn't he? Yes, we're doing this thing. The good people at weareliverpool.co, although the website's not working at the moment, is it? Liverpool.co, not UK, not com. Yes, we're doing that now. On the week that budget fever grips Britain. We've been doing a bit of, been looking at some economy drives ourselves, haven't we, Moose, this week? And what we decided to do is do, some cost-cutting exercise and stuff, and we recycle some old guests. Hence why, ladies and gentlemen, I can introduce you to, on my left here...
Out of the bargain bin.
Out of the bargain bin, yes. Recycled. And you've got some quite elegant glasses on there.
Even these are quite old.
I think they're quite... They sort of give you a sort of sensual air of, the sort of geek chic.
Yeah. Mumblecore.
Mumblecore, yeah. So it is. It's the Crafty Raabi, everybody. There he is.
Thank you for having me.
You actually, before you press on, because vocal stylings, which you can do...
Oh, fuck, I forgot the vocal stylings.
But...
Stephen Bowie! Go on.
It's worth it just that. It was going to be reunited by Peaches and Herb for getting you and Ashley back together. There you go.
Oh, well. Yeah. I'm glad you didn't go too much about it, because ideas above his station. Yes, of course it was David Bowie. Hard to be a saint in the city.
Funny seeing his son tweet this week that my dad's #1, which is kind of a really, really weird way to describe it. Obviously, it is his dad, but just is weird to think of David Bowie like that.
Your dad's here as well.
He is, yeah.
You wouldn't know from sitting there in Niger or
Chicago,
or the outreaches of the United States of America. But we've got a little hutch there in the corner, which Don, the lovely Don, does all. Not that Don, another Don, does all the technical things that are there. His dad, 20s Eddie, is
quietest man on earth.
20s Eddie. 40 minutes time, Don will open that and think, fucking hell, I'm out of here. He's going to talk his ear off all the way through. Anyway, yes, that means 20 is in the house. That means 50 Stew is in the house. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Why does he go everywhere with his dad?
Well, it's something to do with, community safety and such like.
And tendinitis, probably.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, at the end, the elegant, and again, you've got different glasses on. Just to throw me, why have you gone for the new glasses? Are they the old ones, or are you sat on the other ones?
No, it's just it was time for a change.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, Wilberforce McCrimmon Moose is in there.
I'm team no glasses, though, obviously, on this panel today.
You didn't get the email, did you?
No.
And your beard, I noticed, is very dark.
It's
very dark. If you paint it, are you dyeing your beard?
Of course,
now?
I've always dyed my beard.
You dyeing your beard?
Yeah.
Jesus, it's like one of them.
It's like Enrique.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah. Are we talking about the testosterone in Enrique?
Well, let's not leave it all in the gym.
Okay.
Actually,
we're recording. We can do it.
What are we doing this? I don't want to shock you, and also upset people who are listening on the wireless on the internet. Is that we can actually see you.
Yeah, I know. Well,
and I can only apologise to any people who are watching the YouTube channel for this. It is a fucking motley crew. This. Yeah, this is the new. We're living in the 21st century now. It's all good. And this green, those people out there are not seeing the green. They're not seeing the green. They're seeing. Oh, I love it. It's beautiful.
Holodeck.
Holodeck.
Mothership. The mothership of
It's a beautiful thing. But unfortunately, to ruin all this loveliness, we have to... You are a fucking jinx.
I know.
Because I've not seen you for ages, and we're playing all very nicely and doing all that. And then, they clearly hear you're coming along, and then we are
Hodgson team.
Hodgson team. A massive sack of shite. Honestly, they were terrible against Southampton. So, unfortunately, we have to discuss that. We could have been 4-0 down at half-time. Do you not agree?
Yeah, definitely. It's not just me who's the jinx. So I think it's Rodgers as well. If you notice that every time he said like we're going to come top 2.
Yeah.
No, he said we can. He didn't say we're going to come top. He said we can come top 2, and then we lose. And then this week he's crowing. He's saying, top 4's possibility, and then we lose. I think there's a lesson there. Keep it.
Up.
I was talking to a United fan on Wednesday, and he was saying that he said we're not Liverpool fans. He said, but Rodgers didn't invent passing for Liverpool. He keeps talking all season about this idea of passing.
I know.
Liverpool, even as United fans, they knew that was kind of in Liverpool's
That's
DNA.
kind of what we used to do.
It's what Liverpool's all about.
People, there's this idea that as I don't know, if you want to rein me back to the Southampton and save this for later, stop me. But there's this idea that as built up over the last few months that Rodgers has reinvented Liverpool. He's brought passing to Liverpool, this weird thing, like as if we were under Dalglish, this kind of long ball side.
That's almost a
side.
trailer for tomorrow's podcast.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I read a statistic a few weeks ago, which I genuinely could. I mean, this is true. I was in a reliable source. Couldn't believe it though. So across the whole of Europe last season, Liverpool had the second most possession of any team in Europe in the final third, i.e. in the opposition.
Right.
Barcelona were the first,
Right.
and Liverpool were next. So they were under Dalglish. They were playing, some decent football at times. They were pinning teams back. They couldn't ever score. They were hitting the post perpetually. Never score. Lots of issues. Not saying they weren't. But it's a bizarre idea that Dalglish was this hoof-it side.
I think you'll find I was lobbying for the 3 points for the woodwork.
I think it's a good
idea.
idea.
I think we would have we would have been champions.
Well, think about it. Right, the goal is yay wide.
It's
right,
massive.
And the post is only that
Tiny.
wide. It's harder to hit the post.
God, it
It should be. It's like
It's
hitting.
You're saying
hard.
4 points.
It should
You're
be.
saying 4 points based on
Well, not
Woodward.
points. With goals, you get 2 goals.
2 goals.
Instead of 1 goal, you should get 2 goals. You hit the post, 2 goals.
If only
It's
somebody
2-0.
out there could do those maths for us and send them
Don't
in.
look at
You then could have had. You could have had. I know you used to like me doing the David Coleman.
Go on then.
Because instead of hitting the 1-0, it'd be Suarez 2-0.
Oh, that's
Oh,
fantastic.
There you
beautiful.
go.
Could have been beautiful.
That would have been beautiful.
So what went wrong at the Moose?
What went wrong was it cost me £120 to get into Southampton at the weekend.
Southampton is a bit like Croydon by the sea,
Yes,
if I
it
remember.
is.
Like, the times I've been to all my matches in Southampton, it's not a pretty place.
I've not been to St Mary's before, so I was quite looking forward to it. It's another one to tick off the list. And it's a horrible stadium of new stadiums. It is a plastic Lego stadium picked up, dropped in the middle of nowhere. And it's a functional.
It's like most of the others, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's very vapid.
How far is it, geographically speaking, from what was the Dell then? Is it miles away? Or?
Well, no, it's very difficult because I haven't been to the Dell for a long time. But when you sort of get sat down, you don't sort of get much relation to where you were and other things. You sort of drive, get out, and get depressed. There's a lot to be said. Now, what went wrong? Well, what went wrong?
Did you not have a feeling before? I did.
Everybody had a feeling.
I had a feeling because again, for what you said, is that they start believing their own.
It's
We
exactly
thought we'd won. We thought we'd won.
I will
What's the
take
pull?
Ashley's point on that because he's absolutely right. Sat
Thank you
there.
very much.
The great thing about being with the Liverpool away support is actually quite lively. Normally, right? Normally, it's a good day out. We're all sitting there. For some reason, we all expected to get our arse handed to us, and when we went 1-0 down. That's the flattest I've been in, flattest level of support I've seen at a Liverpool away game for many seasons. It just had inevitability written all over it that it was just going to get worse. And you're right, we were lucky not to be 4-0 down by half time.
I genuinely thought they deserved it, and there didn't seem to be any sense of. I don't know. I've got to say, girding the loins. Could that be?
What about the performance? I don't know.
Yeah. As in, there was nobody going right. Fucking hell, let's get ourselves together and sort
Well,
ourselves
the skipper.
out.
I've got a few notes here. I thought that the skipper looked like he'd gone away with England already.
He was
He's
tired.
been fantastic for most of the season. No, I don't think he was tired. I just don't think he was interested in that particular. In comparison to his recent performances.
But why wouldn't he be interested? I don't get how you couldn't be like,
Well,
right,
You said something
Not
before
Spurs,
the
are they?
You said something before the podcast, Stuart. Is that no Lucas, no Gerrard?
Yeah, he needs Lucas next year.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
I mean, I think Alan. I think Alan's been a terrible signing.
But hold on a minute. You
disagree
say
with
that.
that.
I've got my question here. I've written it down. I did do some preparation. What's happened to Joe Allen?
He's
Because
injured.
right at the start of the season when we bought him, he was the best player in the park by a long way. And
He was looking like a cut price Alonso
he
for
was
about 5
looking
games.
great, and everybody was
we-
thinking, "Why, we got ourselves a player here on the cheap." And then suddenly he's just when there was a point where everybody started saying, "Oh, he's a bit tired. He's a bit tired."
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And then from that point, from when everybody's a bit tired, and then Roger says he's a bit tired. That was it. He's been rested for a bit and he's come back and he's been terrible.
Well,
since
okay.
he's come back.
If you look at Stuart's analysis of the formation, this is the team, right? We played Jones, Johnson, Enrique, Aga, Skirtle. Now they look like they met in the car park before the game for the first time.
Yeah, but
all five
again,
of them.
earlier in the season they were
Okay.
that was your back four, and they
We
should
then
know how they
played. We then played sort of 5 at the back, just about. And then we played everybody else as a forward. It was like a schoolboy line.
I thought it was like basically Gerrard without Lucas meant he played centre half. So we basically had 6 at the back, no midfield, and 4 up front.
Now you're quite right. Now because our midfield ended up as Allen, Gerrard, and Downing.
Yeah.
As a 3-man midfield.
Which I think.
Stuart Downing, as you said, Stuart, is not a central midfield player.
No, I think that's
He
a
thinks
fault.
he is though.
And we played. Sorry, my point, because I'll just defend Joe Allen a little bit. Joe Allen shouldn't have started. You can't come out and tell the world the guy needs shoulder surgery at the start of the week, then stick him up against as a defensive midfield player because they
But
just.
that's not what he does anyway.
No, Joe Allen's a picker up, and we still don't have a replacement for Lucas. We've all said that as well, but. That was a Henderson game.
I can say it ain't
that was a
Joe Allen
Henderson
anyway.
game. And my point and my biggest frustration with all of it is to yet come back to it starts with a manager, and once again Brendan's done something really peculiar. We're on a good roll. I've not seen any reports as to why Jamie Carragher didn't play.
He had a gash in his shin.
Okay, fair enough. You're looking at.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Yeah.
Sturridge.
I got it in quickly there. I realised that's where it could have sounded wrong.
Sturridge was immobile for most of the game as well.
Yeah, he wasn't fit.
Again, we've played him 2 games. Allen wasn't fit, so we played Allen not fit. We played Sturridge, who looked off the pace. I'm trying to not be blue in these particular podcasts, but what the fuck has happened to Martin Skirtle this season?
Well, he fell out with a manager, didn't he? I mean, I
think he fell out for the manager.
Well,
for the manager telling him the truth.
I think
I think he had a couple of games where he wasn't on it, and the cup game specifically, where what was that game against some
Oldham,
yeah.
Oldham, and he basically has got the blame for.
Yeah, he was the senior pro, wasn't he, in that
Right,
defence?
yeah. So and he didn't speak up, and he didn't. But he hadn't been that bad early on in the season, and actually
Manchester City.
Well,
it was an error, but he wasn't bad in the game, was he?
He wasn't bad in the game. He's not. Skirtle's not a bad centre half, but actually, Skirtle's gone. He's literally left.
Well, I read
already.
a news report that summed it up perfectly. I don't know what you think, actually. It said that we're playing a centre half with 1 foot in the exit door.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
He's in
that's
Moscow,
you said
really.
of Karen. That's the trouble. So our best defender at the club, and it's the weird thing is again, Rodgers. We'll come on to Rodgers later, I guess, but. He didn't play Carragher for half the season, and then he's playing him and saying he's the best defender of the club. Well, if you think he's the best defender of the club, why weren't you playing him for half the season? But anyway, he's our best player, and he's leaving at the end of the season. And it's terrible. And what a situation that is.
I know.
What an indictment. I mean,
Yeah, and given how poor Skirtle's been in recent weeks, and how invisible Quatters is in terms of getting the chance to play.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna fanny around with the team, then play someone that hasn't been playing. Clearly, you've fallen out with Skirtle. You've made that clear. So why thrust him back in?
Well, he obviously
Quatters as
doesn't.
well,
He doesn't really trust him.
No, sure. But it was weird going back to the City game where Skirtle made the buck up. That was a game where he played Quatters and
He scored, actually,
and,
that game, to be fair.
and Sterling. So I mean, it was like Quatters can go into he plays for Uruguay in big games, doesn't he? So it's like.
Yeah, but he's fallen out with him as well.
Oh,
He's on his way as well. So both of them are gone, and they've been told they can go.
I mean, it was a desperately poor performance. It was probably that's the most that Villa, West Brom, That's the nadir of the season.
But wasn't
absolutely shocking.
Wasn't the problem, Moose, that it was Liverpool versus a big centre forward? I mean, for some reason, Ricky Lambert completely threw us mentally. It was like,
how many times have we said that though? How many times have we said?
Benteke, Lukaku, Ricky Lambert.
Yeah, the fellow from Stoke.
Hulk, for example.
Yeah. Even though we murdered Norwich, the centre forward still gave us some trouble.
Yeah, but it wasn't even just that. They were just at Liverpool straight away. They were under pressure. Down the flanks, just all over the place. I mean, they just seemed to, obviously they're fighting for their lives at the bottom, but they just seemed up for it.
They followed if you think about what Tottenham did very well at Anfield, they did follow that pattern, which was just play in our back third of the field. Really. And if they don't get out, they must have laughed when they saw Skirtle was playing. Going, tell you what, if we keep on these, they won't be able to get rid of it.
Well, it's funny because I watched Match of the Day 2, was it? Oh no, one of the match of the days anyway, and they were saying, oh well, Liverpool, it's it's terrible, abject performance, and but last week they were very good against Tottenham, and I think actually no, they weren't. They weren't very good against Tottenham.
Well, they weren't.
I didn't think they played very well.
But that's fine. That's fine. You can't play well every game, and if you don't play well and win, that's that's all right. Don't mind. I'm not going to complain about that. I mean, that's fine.
What I'm saying is that they got away with it against Spurs.
The pace and adrenaline carried us through against Spurs.
Against a good team.
We had 30 minutes in the game against probably a top 4 team at the moment. And I thought we played for 30 minutes. We played particularly well, and Spurs didn't. Right? But when we changed again, I'm normally a fan of Brendan's reactions in game. There was nothing in game, and I've written it down here massively again. Biggest problem, as always, with Brendan Rodgers is there is no plan B. Ever.
Well, there was. Ever. I thought there was this. I thought there was in the sense that he took Allen off and put Lucas on.
Yeah, but we knew that within 20 minutes, within 10 minutes, that wasn't working. So I don't know how long do you keep. If you know it's not working.
For Henderson with 9 minutes to go.
Yeah. I mean, that was.
I'd argue, given that he played down because he's in form, he'd have been better putting Coutinho on the bench, bringing him on for 30 minutes, playing down and up front with Sturridge and Suarez, and having Henderson, Gerrard, and anybody else.
You mentioned form. Coutinho not only has scored 2, but has created 2, and Coutinho is the informed player at Liverpool.
But as much as he had an impact in the game in terms of what positive things we did, he still was running around like headless chicken.
Yeah, but
he had a poor game.
I'll use Ian's analogy from the first time we watched him play. He did it again. He stayed out wide for 20 minutes and thought, sod this, I'm going to go and field and pick the ball up.
He had a poor game, but obviously they all did.
That's the thing. You could have took anybody. I mean, I know we all thought Joe Allen should have come off, but in fact, you could have took anybody off.
No, that's not the point that Joe Allen should have come off. My point is that Joe Allen shouldn't have started.
Oh God, no, totally, yeah. But
if you're Henderson, then you must be thinking, I'm off. He must. I mean, either that or you've been told.
I don't know. I mean, look, I don't want to be so negative about Brendan Rodgers because there are some good aspects of him, and he's the manager, and so be it. But it's just such a weird season. I haven't seen you obviously this season, so but it's such an odd season because he obviously came in Rodgers and just thought this side I've inherited is rubbish. Dalglish's players all useless. Get rid of them. And I'm playing all these young kids and playing, and then halfway through the season he's just gone. All the young players have kind of come out the side. None of them are even there now. And now Downing.
In the next podcast.
And now Downing. Oh, it's alright. We weren't talking about that, but you got Downing, Henderson, Enrique. Enrique couldn't get a kick first half.
Enrique was like a brick though when he arrived. Let's be honest.
No. I'm not saying. It's just bizarre. It's just a bizarre change, complete change.
But is that because Rodgers done something good with them, or is that because they were a good player? I mean, it's kind of.
No, I think it's because he was overplaying. I think he made a mistake. I think he overplayed.
He ran the kids into the floor.
Exactly. I was thinking at the start. I just couldn't believe how much he was playing Sterling.
No,
absolutely ridiculous. Sterling. He should be playing like one every 3 games.
He's now talking about loaning out Suso and Sterling.
Suso didn't strike me as being quite good enough. Fans wanted him to be good enough.
Yeah,
but he didn't strike me. He had like a few touches. He didn't really ever do anything that made you think.
It was that idea of sophistication, wasn't it? Where
we love the idea of it. Pacheco was a bit like that.
Yeah,
Pacheco was a bit like that.
Dog with that
and Latalik and Pongola as well, probably to an extent as well. Was that
are they still with the club?
Love.
Are they still with the club? Well, we got rid of them yet. That's just because Danny Wilson's still there.
Cinema Pongola doesn't have a club. at this particular
Can I
moment.
clutch at straws for a moment?
We're scoring loads of goals in Spain, weren't we?
Can I clutch at straws for a moment? When it was 1-0 and we were floundering, there was 2 big moments in the game which went against us.
Yeah.
Suarez didn't foul the defender and it was called a free kick.
No.
And Suarez wasn't offside and it was called offside. And they were both in on goal.
Yeah, but you could also say at that point that Gaston Ramirez should have scored.
Yeah.
From a
I'm ignoring them
fantastic
ones.
second
I'm
time.
ignoring them ones,
And if Brad, and as much as I'm not a fan of the quietest goalkeeper in the league in Brad Jones, that could have been 7 or 8 without Brad
bloke
Jones at the
is
weekend.
shitting himself every time he puts the shirt
But I
on.
think only because he doesn't want his hair to get messed up. Isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah.
He's
Well,
kind of got a look
no.
of a boy.
Hey,
Good segue. What really went wrong? What really went wrong, Ian? What really went wrong?
Well,
You having a fit?
it's not all bad news, because did you see how magnificent Jose Enrique's hair is?
How much testosterone he'd ingested in the
Oh,
week?
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Flurry
You know what?
locks.
Someone tells me he
Beautiful.
went to the Christaberg Stones hair
Well,
salon.
Where did it all come from? Where did it all come
I've
from?
got off the interweb. I've got a picture of him from last week and a picture of him. A picture of him.
You mustn't pick it up.
Don't pick it up.
Oh,
Don't pick it up.
Don's now having a heart attack.
And then, so that's
Yeah.
him in training, and that's him on the pitch. Where's that all come from?
That's a proper
You know,
mop of hair, isn't it?
I think, I mean, hats off to him. He's managed to find that. You could
He's
do it
wearing
in
my
your
beard.
And you just think, well, what's gone on there? What's gone on? I mean, has he had a Rooney done? But I mean, that's a good job.
No,
He's done that
that's
quickly.
he's not had a Rooney because it wouldn't take that quickly.
Or has he had
Did he
one
have
of them,
extensions?
or has he had one of those cricketers? What is it with hair jobs that cricketers all do them? All cricketers.
Well, they're all on the back page ads on the sports page, aren't they?
But why is it just
Shane
cricketers?
Watch.
Why is it
Shane Wall,
cricketers?
Graham Gooch.
Yeah, but why is it cricketers? What is
Because
it
they're
to do?
cheap in comparison.
No, they're
to
demographic.
No, yeah, but everybody,
No. They
everybody-
represent the demographic.
Everybody's cheap.
They represent
middle-aged.
middle-aged men who read the Telegraph. That's what you want.
Yeah, but they could get XMPs to do that.
I
sort
would
of
say
thing.
that he's probably now got a personal sponsorship deal with Regain or something like that.
It is phenomenal. I mean, it was. We didn't recognise. We watched it. Is it really Enrique?
Beautiful man.
Well, earlier on in the season, he had a kind of a shaved job. didn't he?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
he
well,
I
was
thought-
full
He went the
skin.
full Ed
He looked
Norton
like-
in American
Yeah,
History
yeah,
X.
No,
I
I thought
ask
he looked like
I
the
ask you,
Senna.
Moose, if you have a beautiful head of hair like that, why would you? I mean, I know it's a lovely look on you. Would you shave it all off for stylistic reasons?
Yeah, no, I mean, you've got to realise that, he was going through his gay prima donna phase at that particular point, wasn't he? He was beefed, he was waxed, the old wax had been out absolutely
it looked
everywhere.
lovely.
And I think there was that...
He was being a bear.
There was that very famous shot of him when he just had the hair done, and it actually was framed from someone who was taking a photograph underneath him that he tweeted when he just had his head shaved.
Yeah.
That actually made him look like he was actually entering said photographer at the point with his new gay bald head look, which didn't really go
You
down
see, the
very
thing
well.
is, I
So
mean,
you
he
can't
looks
say
like,
all
he
this
looks
'cause-
a younger player to me. It's like when Peter Reid dyed his hair. You remember that? And he
Yeah.
looked like 10 years younger. He looks like
And
a
when
younger
Alan
player.
Cork grew a beard, he
Yeah,
aged
yeah.
40 years.
Yeah, he's really-
You can't call
So
him.
he's never
you
actually
can't-
got old, has he?
You can't say he's got a gay look because didn't Suso get into trouble for that? Didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, you know, Suso just tweeted he looked gay,
ridiculous.
didn't he?
Tweeted,
Ridiculous.
yeah.
But it's like you're suggesting that's an insult. I think it's a good thing. I think he looks a handsome beefcake.
I
So why you
just
say
said-
metrosexual then? Not
I
gay?
think he's metrosexual.
Yeah.
I think
I
that's
think he
good.
buys his own clothes.
I like the idea of a footballer with an unusual haircut.
He's a stylish Spaniard.
He
looks in the mirror
what
before
do
he
they
leaves the
do
house.
all day? What do they do all day? You know what I mean? It's like
Shave their head
they
and
do
regrow
a bit
their
of
hair.
they do a bit of training for an hour or whatever they do. They have a massage or whatever and a bit of a rub down, and then what do they do all day?
Well, I would actually go along with you on that because based on the fact that it looked like they didn't fucking know each other
Yeah.
at the weekend, they obviously don't do a lot during the
No,
day.
well, they
do
can't. They can't go drinking anymore, can they? So what they get,
I've got another-
and then doing the roasting. That apparently that's frowned upon now. They can't go. They can't bond over a bit. Over an orange girl anymore. That's out the window. So what's he going to do for himself? He's just going to pop himself down to the.
What,
down to
shave
the
his hair, grow
salon.
his hair? Is that kind of
Yeah,
like...
that's this up down. It's really, you guys should try it. You should.
I would suggest looking at his beefcake physique as well, that there might be some steroids going on there.
You can't say things like
Might,
that.
but yes, you can. I
just
just did.
You can't. You can't with steroids because they get tested for.
I was reading that in Shankly's biography where when he was at Preston,
Hormones.
bit of a Dr. Feelgood at Preston when he was manager. You know, like, all the players had to have an injection of this stuff, and there was like no questions asked.
Okay.
The other bit of news that came out of it, the old Maurice Pochettino, I prefer Maurice rather than Maurizio. Maurice Pochettino.
Oh yeah, because he go on.
He worked with young Coutinho 2 seasons ago, and he said that we've got a player that's just like Messi, so absolutely no pressure there on the young man before the game as well. He reminds
His English isn't great. He could have just been saying that he's messy.
But if we're going to get mind games from Southampton, then we're fucked. Let's be honest.
Especially, lest we forget, Southampton have hired a manager who speaks no English.
Also, he was trying to. Southampton came quite close to signing him, didn't he?
Yeah.
But wasn't that before he was manager?
Yes.
Yeah.
It
So
was,
there's like, you can see what.
And Gaston Ramirez.
You can see what was going on
was
there.
nailed on for Liverpool, wasn't he?
But you can see what was going on there.
He played very well, Gaston Ramirez. But Adam Lallana played exceptionally well for them, and Liverpool Ricky Lambert ran us ragged, as Stuart said earlier. Absolutely destroyed us.
Ricky Lambert just pushed us all the way onto our 18-yard line, and we couldn't get out. And I didn't get it. He's not exactly the most mobile centre forward in the world. And listen, for 20 minutes after we a bit like the United, a bit like Old Trafford, a bit like Stamford Bridge, we went in at half time with a score that flattered us, given how badly we played. But in this time, we even nicked a goal, and it looked like we had the.
Well, the first 10 minutes of the second half, though, they rocked because of the fragile nature of their confidence and where they are in the league. They looked dodgy for 15 minutes.
We didn't have another striker to
backed off
If
completely.
we had another striker to bring on, then
the strikers playing.
Yeah, but he was not fit, is he? Sturridge is not fit.
And again, just obviously we've got other games coming up. Our next game is at Villa away.
No, hang on. Jordan eBay.
Jordan Ebe was on the bench.
Jordan
of course.
we talked about. I remember when we talked about him.
Yeah.
We had a long.
Well, what's he now? Is he like 19 or something?
I don't know, but I just loved it.
Jordan Ebe sitting next to Jose PayPal. Sorry, I couldn't resist that. Let's have a party.
But isn't it? I mean, I'm all for any player called eBay. It's a gift that keeps on giving. But if you're, it's a gift that keeps on giving, but with 10%. Hey, come on, everybody! Let's have a party.
Forward.
But if you're, what's his name? What's that winger lad called? The good winger that we've got. He never plays.
Asaidi.
Asaidi. What must he be thinking?
What did he buy him for?
But he's a great
Well, like
player,
really, I don't know. I haven't seen him.
Whenever he's come on, he's took the ball and run up
I don't
people.
know.
And you think he's caused havoc, and you think, what's wrong? He's like Steve Highway. Get him on. He's great.
I think it's because before he signed him, he didn't realise that his first name was Osama.
I think you're probably right.
And then they thought, CD, he's good, and then they got Osama. I don't know, because can you imagine if we had a player called Adolf?
That's not
like you kind of go, come on Adolf. It just doesn't quite sound.
Yeah.
I
mean,
come
I
on
got in trouble
Osama.
earlier on in the season for saying we can't have Osama bombing down the wing. It's not exactly
Run for your lives. It's not nice.
No, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I know you said we'll talk about Rodgers later, but the summer signings, I think the ones in January look different level, but what a terrible window that was. And Asidi, you brought him. What was the point? He didn't be playing.
If you're not going to play him, there's some point.
Especially even your point you said before about Sterling. It's like you could have played Asadi, Sterling alternative weeks, so you wouldn't have exhausted either of them.
Asadi, you're calling him.
Yeah. Am I not allowed to?
Yeah, go on. It's fine.
You're a saddy bastard.
There comes a day where you're taking the piss out of my pronunciation.
I know. We're in trouble now.
It's bizarre. It's just it's very strange.
So we've got.
And he was all over him on being Liverpool when he comes in. He's so physical, isn't he, Rodgers? His hands all over him.
I've got to say, does that mean that the Skirtle is in the envelope? Is that Skirtle that's in the envelope?
You like that when people.
His hands were all
well,
over
I'm the
him
doctor.
And
I love
you're
those.
still doing the medicals.
Oh, I love those photos. There's nothing I like more than when a player is signing for Liverpool. A photo of that doctor. What a weird.
And everybody we sign looks like you on that.
No, but it's him just like was listening to the guy's heart.
What is he doing there?
That's not how they.
No, he's not.
That's how they do it.
He's using equipment from the 1950s.
What he's doing is but what he's doing is he's just doing like when you go to the doctor. When I go to the doctor, I said I think I've got a chest infection, and he just gets a stethoscope and he goes. You know, and that's it. And like, you cough, you know, and it's like now again. You know, just weird. That's not how they test.
I reckon that
blood
it's actually Liverpool having a laugh, and he's probably the groundsman. That
He's
they
not
just
a
stick
doctor,
him
that
in
guy.
there.
He's not a doctor. Do me a favour.
Next two games.
Well, we've got a little bit of news just before that. Obviously,
fuck.
today, the news that I'm not particularly happy about is it looks like that Mr. Shelby.
I was going to do the news and the transfer and the gossip in the next one, but go on.
we
then.
know because that's our special for this one.
Oh, was
We're
it
doing
next
this
one?
today.
Oh,
so.
I've got to do
Because
all
we've
that
got
now, mate. Oh, fucking hell.
couple of bits of news.
Yeah.
Obviously, is John Joe Shelby is making noises about being off, and Stoke are looking at offering £9 million for the young man.
If it doesn't want him, £9 million is quite a decent amount of money, and he's going to be so lower down the pecking. If they do bring in another central midfield player, which the talk is Alonso, or some other, or a defensive midfield player, then he's going to be even further down the pecking order. And you think, well, he's 21, he wants to start playing football soon. So
I like Shelby, but I
him.
do think he's the kind of player who, like, if he played for United, I think he'd do well.
Yeah.
I think he'd do well in a really good side, coming in occasionally, a bit like Cleverly. Those players,
how Darren Fletcher
those
started
kind of
for
exactly,
United,
yeah,
that
those
type of
players
thing.
who can come in. But I think for Liverpool, for where we are, I don't think he's good, and he's not at the level required.
He's too
to
raw,
really
isn't he, for us to make use of
Yeah,
him?
yeah, I just don't think he's right for where we want to be. I think for a better club, he could come in and do a good job. But I know it sounds strange to say that. But also, as you say, I mean, we've all established that Lucas or a Lucas type is essential. Gerrard's the captain. We've also got Joe Allen. The number of central spaces there aren't.
No.
They're not really there.
I've also got, what else have I got? I've got Suso and Sterling on loan. You mentioned that earlier on. But apparently they've rejected...
To where, though? To where?
Well, I don't know.
I'd be
But
surprised if
they've
Sterling went on
They've
loan.
rejected loan... Again, the opposite side to that is they've rejected Leeds, Cardiff and Bolton trying to pick up Sterling. So I think it'd be crazy to get either of them out, to be honest with you. I've also got Liverpool are weighing up a move for Diego Capel. Any idea? Any
No, I
offers
haven't
on
heard that
Diego
one, I must
Capel? Winger, apparently. That's just what we need. And yet another winger sitting on the bench. Danny Wilson's demoralised, apparently.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. Apparently still on the books.
Losing the Scottish Cup final with
Yeah.
with that, yeah.
But,
But he was talking about his time at Liverpool, saying he was demoralised because he trained every week, trained really hard, and then getting nowhere near the squad. And you think, yeah.
But that is a bizarre story because he was young footballer of the year.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
gotten had a great season at Rangers, and then in a way that was a real lesson of how far apart English and Scottish football must be.
Yeah.
That he just.
But going back to your point then about how United might take advantage of someone like Shelby, we almost in the position Liverpool where every player that we get has got to be fucking brilliant.
Well, no, they
Or
need
no
to be
use
now
us.
to put.
Or
Well,
yeah,
absolutely,
because we can't grow. We need to grow. We need to grow first before we
Exactly.
can start accommodating
Absolutely,
variables
absolutely.
and
Of
stuff.
course,
Because it gets
yeah.
too we just need people who can play well, and that's it. We're not looking at.
Isn't that weird though? Like last
fucking
week
horrible.
or
It's
the
fucking
week
horrible.
before, whatever, and we won 3 on the bounce. We're all going, "Way, yeah, we're brilliant, we're brilliant," and then we lose one game, we're all gone.
Well, for our dear departed colleague, James wrote on the Facebook.
Has he
wall-
died?
No, he's moved to Feltham.
Oh, okay.
So he's moved to Feltham. Good luck to him as well, James.
What, young
But he
offender?
wrote. That's what I said. He's our official young offender. But James wrote on the Facebook page the disappointments. As he put it in stronger terms than that. But he said the disappointment, typical, the same Liverpool I've watched for the last 20 years. When it comes to a decent side, we can pay with a bit of power, pace and adrenaline, and then we turn up and the big time Charlie approach kicks in and we get rolled over.
He's absolutely right.
And he is absolutely right because that is. But he did put if Rodgers can't stop that, I actually think, going back to Ashley's bit about speaking out of turn to the press, that Brendan's probably responsible for part of that attitude as well. I think it was his team talk consisted of, "Oh, don't worry, lads, we'll roll this lot over, and then we've got Villa next, and then we'll be marching towards the Champions League."
We know his team talk consisted of, there are 3 people you can trust. You can trust your family, your wives, and all of that.
The ironic thing is as well is that
I can't trust my
is
wife.
in terms of that fantasy 4th place thing. Spurs frigging lost.
Yep.
So we'd have actually gained 6 points on Tottenham in the space of a week, which is the one that we thought that's miles away.
Yeah.
In terms of whatever ambition. Fourth was like, we talked last week, didn't we, about the idea that Arsenal and Chelsea would fall apart, which obviously our predictions were so accurate between in 7 days. We're like, Liverpool are on a wave like a surfer.
I don't think
We just got carried away.
Be wise after the event, but Arsenal have never faded away like that, even when they've made the Champions League for the last 16 years. I mean, they haven't, even when they've gone out of every tournament, whatever. They're quite good at picking themselves up. And
He's a good manager, isn't he?
Well, absolutely, no, they're a good club. I mean, they have. I think it's wishful thinking to think that they're going to fall away. I mean, Chelsea likewise, obviously, have just got too many.
It's always wishful thinking, Ashley. It's always that's all. It's in our ambitions for fourth. It's about everybody else capitulating.
But
history.
History.
It's not all over. Jordan Henderson.
We're going to get in the fair play league.
Who let him speak? Who let the boy speak? We still have our ambitions are still to finish in fourth place.
No, but
history.
history.
He's not read the memo after the Southampton game, is
It's the last few years of disappointment catch up, and then the same thing with Spurs, because Spurs are living up to. It's the same thing. It's like the history weighs heavy there, and successive years of disappointment. You can see them start now. It wouldn't surprise me if they fall away, because it's the panic sets in.
So before we go and move on to the next games, I just wanted to. Have you seen the Jimmy Traore goal?
Yes,
Jesus Christ!
What a goal, isn't it?
But what they don't realise is his goal was the other way. He was just trying to outdo.
He's been leading up for. He's been practicing that for that goal for 20 years and not.
I've been to that stadium, the Seattle
Sounders.
Sounders.
Have you?
Yeah.
You swanking there.
There was no game on. I went there to have a look round and bought some bit of tat in the shop.
Well, was it nice?
That's my favourite ever Liverpool chant, isn't it?
What's that?
Don't blame it on the Biscayne. Don't blame it on Troy.
Yeah.
He just can't. He just can't control his feet. It's the greatest Liverpool song ever. That is amazing.
But it was a great goal, amazing goal.
It's a stunning goal.
Jimmy
Traore,
I've watched
Champions League winner.
I've watched some of those American games, and actually, it's quite exciting football. It is fucking terrible, but it's quite exciting football.
Have you seen the crowd that watch Portland Timbers?
No.
They like model themselves on like European audiences, so they've kind of embraced this idea of being thuggish about watching a game of football. Then they're kind of not doing the kind of friendly rah.
Yeah.
It's lots of homemade
So
banners.
a lot of people have adopted the
about
Poznan thing as well, haven't they? A lot of American fans have adopted the turning your back routine.
I don't know. I don't trust American Liverpool supporters or football supporters. Don't trust them.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because even Ian doesn't know this, because we don't have a game next week, but we do have a podcast next week.
Oh, do we?
And next week's 2 parts are going to be on the subject of what it's like to support Liverpool. So I'm actually looking for submissions from people around the world. We've been having a little chat before the podcast about how reactionary, haven't we, Ashley, certain Liverpool fans can be. So I'm interested in people's submissions for. We want to analyse the psyche of a Liverpool supporter in the next week's podcast.
What, when you look for submissions, what are you wanting people to say?
I'd like people to either come via the Facebook page or send us some touts. If you download the tout app, which is like a 15 to 30 second video, we can then make Don's life misery and bring some of them down and have them loaded in. But I would like some thoughts on, for example, our esteemed ex-colleague Sean, who Stuart always refers to, started being a Liverpool fan under the Hodgson era.
Which is phenomenal.
So how does his mindset clash with our mindset?
Yeah.
We're the aged old glory hunters still living on dreams of the past. We've got some younger guys that come on the Facebook page now. I'm going to talk to Alison this week. So the next 2 episodes will be on the different psyche of being a Liverpool fan. Ashley you mentioned something earlier about how difficult it is to converse with certain fans.
Yeah, absolutely. No, well, it's that thing of there's some, I don't know, I guess we'll go on to this in the next show as well, but there's that thing of you're not allowed to criticise, to have an I just think, what I like to have is an intelligent debate about football, about the club and about the way we play.
To do that, but
I'd like to do that.
You're not really up to it.
No, I'm not, and absolutely.
Yeah.
That's, that's what I come here for. Actually, the truth is I didn't recognise you with your top on.
Oh, really? Well,
I'm used to you with topless.
To be honest with you, because we've been so disappointed the last few seasons, I was catching a chill every week, so I've not taken the top.
I think this season though we've slowly
and it's not.
we started off
not
bad,
as
didn't
fat. It's not as good.
In my first podcast,
You should do it.
he went, shut your face. My first podcast, he went straight to his pants.
Yeah,
Missed out there, huh?
Yeah. You wonder why I didn't come for a while.
There's a double
nobody
entendre.
came that night.
There's a
Come on,
double entendre there waiting to be knocked in the
At a
neck.
party.
You know that, don't you?
Talking of things being knocked in the net, next game is
Aston
obviously a
Villa
loss away. Aston Villa then.
3-0 I'll go, Liverpool away.
We are going to lose that game.
Well, they're fighting for it, aren't they?
Cast iron, we're going to lose that game. And then we play West Ham at home and we're going to win that game.
And then we have Everton after that.
And that'll be a draw. We might as well not bother. Yeah, the Villa thing, I just think...
So we're going to beat Tottenham for 5th based on your...
But Benteke, they'll just play Benteke the same way, won't they? They'll just chuck the ball up to him and kick.
Benteke played very. Benteke is having a very in and out season since he played us. He played pretty well on the weekend. But Villa. It depends what Liverpool team turns up and what Villa team turns up. But as you used to say, we're one of the old podcast titles were we're 2 games away from being Aston Villa, and we are now
Probably
one game away from facing Aston Villa. So. Right,
gentlemen, lovely to see you again. What's your name again? I've forgotten the. What's your mantle again? Crafty Raabi. But no, What was this? What was the one after that? It was the Imam.
Crafty
So
Imam.
it's the Crafty Imam. Sorry, the Crafty Imam. And you gentlemen, as always.
Thank you.
We've got your dad on next.
You are.
Come on, everybody. Let's have a good look. We're keeping that to 40 minutes. Thank you very much, everybody, and please tune in to the next one.
We'll
Cheers.
see you next time.